Maybe it's to free up space in your computer.
Am I coming through to others? All right, thank you. Mhm.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning for now. Oh, oops.
It was good for me because the forecast rain didn't come yet, and I had stuff to do this morning outside.
I've already been to a recycling place and dropped off some compact fluorescent bulbs.
I think I have to do that for my batteries now too. I have to make an appointment. I'm not sure.
If you're interested, actually today, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., so you can still make it after this meeting in Balboa Park at Park Boulevard and President's Way, there's the city's collecting household batteries, fluorescent bulbs and tubes, auto batteries, antifreeze, motor oil, and oil filters. Nothing else.
That's where I went, and it was very efficient.
The drive up, drop off.
Right.
Okay, I can think about that.
I remember doing that somewhere, sometime way back. And I seem to think that somebody walked around behind my car as I was pulling up, and they opened up the back of my car and took the stuff out and disappeared and shut the door. And I didn't even hardly had to stop rolling.
Yeah, that's at Miramar. They do that at Miramar. I know that. But I haven't been to the Balboa Park event. It's kind of far away.
It depends on where you live.
Of course. And how much you like to drive, too.
I think there were 4 locations that were doing it, but maybe not all today.
Yeah, they tend to rotate to different locations for convenience. Today's at Balboa Park.
Yep.
I had meant to get to, like you did earlier this morning before the meeting, but I was preoccupied with other stuff that had to get done first. But I'll get over there after this meeting.
Does anybody else subscribe to the Digital San Diego Union?
Yes,
it's not working this morning.
I got mine. I got mine. I just read it.
You were able to read it. Mine got stuck. It just won't come up.
Really?
And I called them, and they say they know they have a problem.
I couldn't read it. I did it on my iPad, but I just finished reading it.
Oh, I tried it on my laptop, and I tried it on my tablet, and neither one could get it. And when I called the lady to complain, she said, yeah, a number of people have complained. They're working on it.
Really? Huh. Must have been a glitch somewhere. Oh, I had no problem.
When that happened to me, it took a while, but I finally discovered it was because I hadn't paid.
Oh, well, that's not my problem because they take the money every month.
I was going to say, that's exactly right.
Yeah, that's not my problem. So I'll try again after this meeting and see if maybe they've fixed it.
You might try a different browser to open it.
Interesting idea. Okay.
Yeah, that is a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, Alice, you were on an Apple.
But I was on an Apple, yeah.
And I probably tried it with Chrome.
Try with Edge or Firefox or something else.
Yeah, I can do Firefox.
Because if I try it on my PC, I usually use Brave. But I did do it on my iPad this morning.
Who makes Brave? I never heard of that one.
It's one I use to look at some of the websites where I have trouble looking at it with Chrome. It's not as full featured. In other words, it doesn't always come up with all the pictures from a website, but it lets me at least get to them. CBS 8 is in trying to come up with saying where you have an ad blocker, and I don't, but it doesn't let me see the page. If I go to Brave, then I can see the page, but again, not all the pictures come up.
I've been getting a lot of ad blocker comments. And if I have an ad blocker, I don't know where it is.
Well,
Yeah. I have a
It's-
feeling my grandson put an ad blocker on my machine too.
Hello.
they're trying to make more money off of their websites. So that's why they're getting really picky about ad blockers. YouTube is notorious for it right now. And they really want you to subscribe so that you don't have you are subscribing so you don't have to have the ads. But again, a lot of places are trying to monetize more and more off of where we used to get the items for nothing on the internet.
Are there any browsers that are better than others, Ross, in your experience?
Facetiously, the one that works. So
yeah, okay, got
if
it.
Chrome works, great. If not, then I try Brave, and that usually gets around. But sometimes I have to use Edge or Firefox.
I use Firefox.
It just depends what works.
Yeah, and so I've been all happy with Brave.
That's fine. So each website that you go to has to have a different version of that website that they download to you for your version of operating system and the browser that you're using.
Interesting.
So it's difficult for the websites to keep up with all of the changes. So to say this, I don't have any that I tell the people never to use this one and always use that one. Yes, most of the time I use Chrome, but I use all the other ones at least once a day.
There you go.
And I think we can all remember lazy website administrators that used to put that message at the bottom of the screen, best viewed in Internet Explorer, because they didn't know how to code web pages, so they work in every browser.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was best viewed in Internet Explorer number 6 or something like that, which no one has anymore, right?
It's 8:36 and we have 19 folks here. I think I will begin.
Good.
Before I begin, I just want to note that this thing that you're going to see this morning has only been up for 4 days and it already has 83 views. I think some of my subscribers on YouTube have glommed onto that. I only have 1,032 subscribers on YouTube. And also, before I begin, there's one thing that everyone should do before they go around deleting files, which is what this morning is all about. And that is make sure that they have a good backup system on their computer that is automatically and without your intervention backing up your files, and make sure that wherever they're being backed up, you can go get them back if you want them.
And you need to test that recovery periodically. It depends on how important the information is and how much it changes. But once a month isn't too much. But if you don't change for a month, at least every 6 months, that you need to be able to go into your backup and recover a particular file. If you can't, then I would not go through the procedure to delete items off of your computer until you start getting warning message saying you're out of space.
Whoops. Wrong starting space.
This session is going to be about how to delete files.
Gonna back up and start after I get.
This session.
No. Hush. Hush, Henry. Now we'll try sharing a screen.
This session is going to be about how to delete files. Why do you want to delete files? Well, maybe it's to free up space in your computer. And how do you want to delete files? Well, I'll talk some in here about how to do that efficiently. Before we get into the how or the why, let's clear up one common misconception. A lot of people think that if you find a file in File Explorer, right-click on it, and then left-click on the word delete, that file is gone from their computer. That's not true. Unless you have your computer set a certain way, the file has gone to the recycle bin, not into cyberspace. The recycle bin is there to protect you from yourself, from accidentally deleting something that you really don't want to delete. So it has this special place in your computer called the recycle bin, and that's where files go if you select them and hit the delete key, or right-click them and left-click on delete, unless you right-click on them and hold down the shift key and then left-click on delete. In that case, the file goes totally out of your computer. It is recoverable under certain circumstances, and you can spend a lot of time Googling that and learning a lot. But for right now, you need to know that if you really want something gone, when you left-click on delete, you better be holding down your shift key while you do it. To see what is in the recycle bin, I can hold down my Windows key and scroll to the bottom and click Recycle Bin. That is because I have pinned the recycle bin to my start menu. If you have not done so, you can do so by going into your desktop, and you should find the recycle bin in the upper left-hand corner of your desktop. And right-click on it and click Pin to Start Menu. When you get here, you can restore everything that's in your recycle bin back to where it was originally. You can delete individual items by selecting them. You can restore selected files by selecting them and then clicking Restore the Selected Files. But you shouldn't need to do this very often. Now, before I get into actually deleting files, let me show you how to generally set up your computer for efficiently storing things. To do that, you go to Storage Settings. And to do that, you type your Windows key, you go down to Settings, and then when you get to Settings, you click on System. And one of the things you see in System down here in the left menu is Storage. And when you click on Storage, you will see Storage Sense. Storage Sense can automatically free up space by getting rid of files you don't need, like temporary files and content in your recycle bin. And when you click down here, you need to turn that on, and then you need to click on Configure Storage Sense or Run It Now. And here you have settings that you can pick. The one that you want is during low free disk space, run Storage Sense. You can choose that to run Storage Sense every day, every week, every month, or when you have low disk storage. You also want to click and check this box that says delete temporary files for my apps that my apps are not using. And you then need to choose for yourself what you're going to do with files in the recycle bin. They can be deleted every 30 days. They can be deleted every day. I choose every 30 days to clean out my recycle bin. And you can also set whether or not to delete files in your downloads folder. I download a lot of things that people send to me as attachments to email, and some of them I want to keep forever. So I have this set to never. But you can also set it to a day, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, your choice. So now we get to actual steps to delete files from your computer. And the first one I recommend you do is disk cleanup. Disk cleanup will allow Windows to show you files to delete and let you easily delete them. So how do you get there? Well, there are a couple of ways. You can go to the search box where you simply type in what you want, like disk cleanup, C-L-E-A-N-U-P. You find that there. It will ask you what drive you want to clean up. You can pick the drive, but it in most cases will be the C drive where your operating system is. And then you click OK. And it searches and gives you the disk cleanup box, which I'll go into in a minute. But there's another way to get there. You can go to Windows Explorer. Here. And when you get to Windows Explorer, you can scroll down until you get to the C drive. Then you can right-click on the C drive and left-click on Properties. When you get to Properties, it will show you how many gigabytes, etc., you have in the C drive and how many are used and how many are still available. And in the lower right corner, you see disk cleanup, and if you left-click on that, it will take you to the same place. So you get here to disk cleanup, and you have a whole bunch of things that you can delete, like temporary internet files or delivery optimization files. You probably don't know what each of those are, so every time you click on one, it will tell you what that is. This is downloaded program files, and this tells you that downloaded program files are, et cetera, et cetera. You can click another one, like the recycle bin, and it will tell you the recycle bin contains files you have deleted from your computer, etc. You can check any or all of these boxes, click OK, and you will get back the amount of files that it says here after you finish checking the boxes. I'm not going to do that on this computer because I need to keep this to revise this recording. So I will cancel out right now. Now, finally, we are going to select and delete some specific types of files. To select it, you want to hold down the Windows key and the R key on your computer, and that will bring up the Run command. And the first thing you're going to type in there is TEMP. Click OK, and you will get a large list of temporary files in your computer. Let your mouse hover over one of those files, and then type Control and A, and it will select all the files in that folder. You then type the delete key on your keyboard, and they will all be gone. Now you go back to the Run box, Windows and R, and you type %TEMP % and enter, and you get another set of temp files. You hover over it once again. You type Control A to select them all, hit the delete key, and those temp files are gone. Finally, you're going to go back and delete some files that your browser uses to communicate with the websites that you visit. And you go back again to the Run box. This time you type in PREFETCH. Hit enter or OK. And it may ask you, or it may say you don't have permission to delete these files or to deal with these files. You simply click continue, and it will bring up the list of those internet files, temporary internet files that you want to delete. And you can, once again, type Control A, hit the delete key, and you are done. If you follow this whole thing through, you should have lots fewer files on your computer right now that were cluttering up and perhaps slowing down the process of whatever you wanted to do. I hope that helps. Good luck.
It is bad when Donald Trump's aides confirmed the plan was that the boss was not going to leave. Remember, he is awaiting trial for plotting to steal the race so that the boss wouldn't
And we're back. I see no hands. There are no questions, comments, rocks to throw. Mr. Wakely.
Yeah, you had one called percent temp. What are percent temps different from regular temps?
I don't know. Do you, Ross?
That's the only one you really need to run is percent temp percent, because what that says is it doesn't care what subfolder it's behind. It's all of the temp folders. So again, all you need to do is do the ones of the percent temp percent. And then that will show you all the files that are labeled temp. And then you can delete them by doing your Control A and then right click and delete.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, all the other videos that I went through before I constructed my own did both the TEMP and the percent TEMP. Interesting.
I'd have to go back and check, but from when I looked for it before, you just needed to do the percent temp percent. The comment I wanted to make was, though, you talked about clearing the cache from the browser programs. I use a program called C Cleaner or CC, C Cleaner. That then will go through and delete the browser cache for all of the browsers, because each browser has its own cache, and you can get rid of gigs of stuff out of your system if you use the C Cleaner. The C Cleaner has been a very good program for me. I use the registry cleaner in C Cleaner, which gets rid of all of the leftover links in your registry, which is where the system, when you install a program, it puts links in there, kind of like shortcuts, and then says, this is when I run this program, you do this, do this, do this, here's where you find this stuff. And when you delete a program, it gets rid of the main portion of that, but not everything. So once every 6 months, once a year, you could use the registry cleaner portion of C Cleaner. Something we didn't talk about, when you go in and look at the storage space on your computer, it will usually show you how much total space is in there and then how much is used. Most of the computers in the last few years have had a terabyte, 1,000 gigabyte drive. Most people that I work with have 200 or 300 gigabytes worth of items in their computer. So if you've got 700 gigabytes free, you don't need to go through the percent temp percent or deleting items out. I would run the C Cleaner program, which is a little more automated in doing things and cleaning up. And your browser is part of more of the issue as far as performance. And you'll see that if you're having trouble running a web page, it's recommended that you clear the cache. Well, each browser, again, has a different way to do that. C Cleaner does them all. And I always use the free version of that program. That's it.
Alice.
You're cut off.
You just answered my question. My question was, because I use C Cleaner on a regular basis, so you don't have to go through that process that Hank just described if you're using C Cleaner. Is that correct?
I haven't checked that part as far as getting rid of the temp files. That's not as much of an issue as what it seemed to be in the past. But I would just do the C Cleaner again, because especially for novice, because it goes through and does that. Where you
use it at work in here. I love it. Yeah, it's good.
When you go in on the properties of the drive itself and do the disk cleanup as Hank recommended, one of the options that should be clicked is to clean up the items that are the system files. You want to clean up the system files that are left over. And again, that will clean things up.
Very good.
I hesitate, again, for most people to say you really don't need to do these things because you have so much space left available, other than cleaning up the cache for the browser programs. We're not running out of space anymore.
Sharon?
Yeah, and for Mac users, I use App Cleaner. Same principle, it's a free version, cleans the app. So if you're a Mac user, there's that product.
On Macs, I've had trouble sometimes when we had communication issues that the communication error log filled the disk drive up. And it took me a while to find that and find out how to get rid of it. But yeah, you can, again, you can go to storage onto the Mac and say how much space is available, and then find out whether you really need to do anything or not.
I'm sorry, I was talking about an application. What are you talking about? You lost me, Ross.
So you can, when you go in on the Mac, you can go look at the storage area and see how much space that you have available on your disk drive. The problem I had that App Cleaner didn't seem to get rid of or anything else was when I had the computer had a communication issue. It was having a problem every time it do a send receive for the email, and that log file filled up the drive. The customer called and said, I'm out of space. I'm going, you can't be out of space. And that was what I had to do to find it. But
Thanks
again,
for that clarification and that enrichment. Yeah. Thank you.
I wouldn't have any hesitation having anybody with an Apple device to contact Apple at any time when you own that computer. As long as it's registered in your name, they will help you.
There are times where they don't. And it's purposely because they're trying to protect what they're saying or not saying. They don't want me to go into the library. They don't want me to go into certain areas because it's risky. So it's changed a little from the beginning 10 years ago.
But again, it depends on what the problem is.
Correct.
So if you're having a problem where the computer's not working, I believe they will help you.
Yeah, try. What the heck? They'll say yes or no.
Ross, we were talking about percent temp. Was a percent sign on both ends of the word temp? Temp, percent?
Yes.
Twice? Okay, because I didn't see that on Hank's setup. Okay, second thing, I noticed that right now Microsoft has a special on Windows 365, half price for the first year and then regular price after that. So if you see that, it's a good idea to maybe take advantage of it. It's pretty good. Okay, thank you.
I think it's next week that I'm going to run a tutorial by, gosh, I can't think of his name, Kevin, I think, that lists 10 alternatives to Windows 360, or 10 alternatives of Office 365, free alternatives. So before you leap on that sale, wait till next week.
Yeah. One of the nice things is you get a lot of storage with 365.
Mr. Stanley.
Slight change of subject, but what about a duplicate file finder? Is there a recommended way to find duplicates and organize your multiple drives so that you don't accumulate a lot of duplicate files that are valuable?
Let me look here.
Ross?
Well, I'm looking it up. I don't remember the name of the ones I have used before. I think I had to pay for the one that I have to find, and it helped get rid of things that are there. I'll have to look it up, and then I can post that later as far as the one that I use. I think it was from the same company that I use for the utilities that we use on Outlook. But I do see in there's one in the Apple store for the Apple device.
Yeah.
You know, I did do a little research about the Mission Valley Library, about our get together. So whenever you want me to give you that feedback to the group, just let me know.
I think now would be fine if Will and Hank don't mind. What do you have?
Well, I contacted Mission Valley Library. I learned how to use the make a reservation room. So I've got that skill learned a little. What I found out is Mission Valley Library is a desirable spot. So we've got two choices. We've got either maybe possibly February of next year, or change the location or change the day from Saturday. Saturday is ideal. That's when everybody wants to book a room. So that's something to consider before we even do get together. Is the location is going to be very demanding. Everybody wants to go there. It's free. You want the community room, which is larger, because the other rooms only hold 12. So you want the larger room. And with a 2-hour window, I use the 2-hour window, roughly 10 to 12. All the way through January, it's all booked.
I would recommend locking in the February date.
No, I mean, I didn't even go into February since we're that far. It's a discussion you all have to have.
Yeah, we could discuss it more fully at the next board meeting in December.
And maybe look at an alternate date other than a Saturday, maybe.
Right.
There's more flexibility there.
Right. Although I appreciate Will's comment, maybe we should try to book it now and then, well, we'll talk about it at the board meeting. But thank you for looking into that, Sharon.
Sure. And Sharon, if you could find out like what days are good days to book, then we can make a decision at the next meeting.
It seems as if the weekdays are better than the weekends. So any day that you decide, we have more opportunities. I don't know what the group wants to do. That's up to you guys. And I also think that, morning before 3 p.m. in the day is a better time, because you don't want to get out of there in traffic. So we have to look at, and I think the board meeting discussion might be something to bring it up. Is that only once a month, the board meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe
someone could do a survey. I don't know.
Since we have probably more general members here, how many, we should do a survey, but I don't want to do it on the fly. Okay, we'll talk about it at the board meeting.
Just an FYI, it's easier to cancel than try to book. So you might want to book now and then cancel later if you don't want it.
Pat, I don't want to take away from anybody who could actually use it. I feel uncomfortable with that.
Well, this is February, so,
Well, maybe February. I didn't go down into February to see what days are available on Saturday, because I knew that was so far out.
Can we get back to today's meeting?
Sure.
Yeah.
Joan.
Boss, was that program Gemini?
What's that?
Gemini?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't say anything about Gemini. CCleaner is the application that I spoke of.
No, this is for duplicate files. We were looking for the name of a
Oh, no, that doesn't make any sense.
I think it might be CISDEM.com. I just did a Google search for find duplicate files, and there's lots of input. Google is your friend.
And I think most of them will have a free version that lets you get rid of some, but you have to have a paid version if you want to go through your entire drive and find them. So, and I'm not finding where, and the one that I've used has been many years ago. So I would say there needs to be at least an update or a change.
Yes, Mr. Wakely.
Yeah, I noticed that in Gmail, there is a dupe finder in your contacts. I've been hesitant to use it because I know I've got a lot of dupes, but I'm not sure where it deletes the duplicate. And you know, some of my contacts are in various different labels, so I want them to stay in those labels. I don't want them to come out. Anybody use the dupe remover in Gmail?
How many contacts do you have, Will?
Oh, probably 400.
Okay. That's not a tremendous number, but you might try making up 2 fake contacts, one with some information in it, and another one with a different set of information in it. With Outlook, it does give you the option to combine those.
Yeah.
And I would hope that Gmail lets you do the same thing.
Yeah, I would hope that it would be allowed to merge
same contacts in various different labels. So I don't want them deleted from those other labels, and I don't know if it does. Or not.
I understand what you're saying.
I'll try your idea. It's good. I'll try that.
So again, labels versus, to me, a mistake that I find that people do is they will only add a contact to a group or a / label, not adding it to their main list. And then from that main list, you add it to the other groups that you want it to belong to. Because what happens then is, yes, you can end up with duplicates and people in different contact groups, labels, and the information's incorrect. If you put it in the main group, you edit that information in the main group, and then it will update that information in the other subgroups.
Yeah, because I think the way it works is if you put it in the main group, you can label it with as many labels as you need.
Right.
And it's only one record that is now part of different groups.
Right. But again, I've seen where people want me to help them with their contact list, and that's what the issue has been, is they have made labels / groups and only added that person to that group, not to the main list. And then that gets to be problematic.
And the other thing is, at least in AOL, which is where I deal, if you add the contact to the main list individually, it forces you to put in their name and then the email address. And then that email address is attached to that name in any later lists that you add them to. Whereas if you do it by just adding them to a list and the list of one, you can end up with the email with no identifier as to who that person really is. And people have some weird email addresses.
I'm not sure if Miriam had a comment on this.
I did. I have used that duplicate imploder, and in essence, that's what it does. If the name is the same, then it will combine the information. But I don't have a huge contact list, and I have not had trouble with it. It's worked for me, but it's only suggested it in rare cases. I think there are probably more duplicates in there that for some reason or other it doesn't find.
And is that for Gmail?
I think it's in Gmail, right? I use Gmail, but what I use for email is Mozilla Thunderbird, but I don't think it's in there. I think it's in Gmail. It's in the Google Contacts. That's where it is. Google Contacts.
That's what I meant. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I just went through and looked at mine, and I found a couple that were, and then I just went over and found merge and fix. And it just said, oh, I've got two copies, and this one's got a phone number here, and this one has another phone number. I said, well, actually, those are one's a work and one's a home. So we merged them. Now I've got one contact with all the information in it.
Yeah.
So if you're going to work within Google, as far as using their contact tools, you have to do it online, not in Thunderbird, because if you do it in Thunderbird, you're using Thunderbird's tools.
Right. No, this is when I'm in Google Contacts is when it shows up and when I fix it. It has nothing to do with Thunderbird. It's just that came to mind, and I kept meaning to tell people that there was yet another email client, but I suspect maybe there's only one or two of us that are still using Thunderbird. But I like it, and it's still working.
David, did it save both the phone numbers?
Yeah, basically what it did is it basically merged the two records into one, so that now the one record has both phone numbers.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we? Do we have any more questions about deleting files? If not, it's time to move on to Q&A, and I'll look for some hands with Qs or As. Or we'll all go home early.
Nobody had any problems this week.
That'll be the day.
Well, I'll just make a comment on Hank's presentation. As he stated, when you just delete files, they just go to the recycle bin. You have to empty it to actually free up more space on the drive. So just remember that.
And Ross, do you know if that's true when you do the TEMP and then Control A and then hit delete? Is it the same rules for the recycle bin?
I would assume so, because you're doing a standard delete function once you've categorized those here, and you do your Control A, and then you do a standard delete. And the standard delete function should put those into the deleted folder.
I think I'll go through and experiment.
I would recommend that you look at using CCleaner and let it clean up Windows and your browsers.
Sharon?
Yeah, I got an iPhone finally. I got an iPhone on Monday, and I set up in one of the Apple classes that they have at the UTC Mall. I got to set up tracking my medicines, and you can put your medicines in the health app, and it can tell, and you put them in there, or your vitamins or your supplements, any over the counter, and then it can notify you through a notification system it's time to take it or whatever, and then the times of day that you take it. So that's very handy. I just thought I like that, because I've been using my Alexa device to say, hey, remind me to take my medicines in the afternoon or whatever, did I take it? But this one, you actually have to engage and say, I skipped it or I took it. And I sort of like that. So I'm just sharing something I'm happy with.
Willie?
Yeah, I just wanted to share something that I found out yesterday. The city of San Diego now has rolled out a...
Willie, can you speak up or speak closer?
Okay. Can you hear me well enough now? Maybe
it's still a little faint, but it's better.
Anyway, San Diego City has rolled out a new website. It's a graphic interface, graphical integration system, GIS system, for permit locations and permit history. So if anybody's interested in the chat, I put the link to what they now allow you to look up permit information, either existing permits or the past 20 years worth of permits for whatever neighborhood you live in. So if you're ever curious about your permit status, if you're building something, that rolled out yesterday. And I thought about that because the discussion we had before the meeting actually started here was about browsers. So I tried opening it in Chrome and it wouldn't work. I opened it in Edge and it worked just fine. So it's one of those situations where you just change browsers and try the same website and it might work.
And I opened it in Chrome, no problem. I just clicked on the link and it opened.
Oh, wow.
They may have fixed it since yesterday. Who knows? I tried it 3 or 4 times yesterday, but it is nice because you can just find your neighborhood and click on your house and see what permits you've ever had.
Yeah, I just clicked on mine, saw a remodel that we had done several years ago in 2017, and permit came up.
Fortunately, it doesn't give you the contractors that worked on it. That would have been nice if I could go back and get references. Another thing the question I had is my wife just bought an all-in-one HP computer. And does anybody have any opinions on all-in-one PCs? Are they any opinions? I've never had an all-in-one. I've always had a box or a laptop.
It does clean up the desktop, especially if you have a wireless mouse and keyboard, which most of the HP now do. So you just have wires that go into the back of that screen. It's basically a standard screen with a laptop board attached to the back. So you can be a little lower performance, but you usually can get very, very good bang for the buck. The issue that I see with them for most of the people that I would deal with is that we can only get it usually like in a 24-inch screen. If you wanted to go to a 27-inch screen, it gets to be too expensive. But if a 24-inch screen is acceptable, that's not a bad computer. As far as anything that you need to do different or better for them in the all-in-one, as long as it has a solid state drive, I think you're going to be fine.
Yeah, it's got the 1 terabyte solid state drive. It's from Costco and it was on sale.
Yeah.
She said that they were blowing it out at $300.
Yeah.
And it's got the wired keyboard and wired mouse, but that I can handle that. But I said, well, she said this morning, should I take it back? And I said, I'll check with the people that know better because I've never had an all-in-one.
I think it should be fine. I would like it to have a processor of an i5 or bigger. i3 to me can start to be on the smaller side. But if you got a terabyte drive, a hard disk in it, and you've got 8 gig of RAM or more, it should be just fine.
Yeah, I looked at the specs after she brought it home, and it looked pretty good. But I just know I'm used to being able to change out motherboards or change out, video boards.
We don't do that much anymore though. If it's out of warranty, it's generally time. Like when you're saying this brand new whole complete system is $300, there's not a lot of money in it that we can fix a computer with, that it wouldn't have been better just to buy a whole new one.
And it's Costco has a 2-year warranty on it.
Yes.
Service and all that, which is really good.
Wilby, how is this different from a laptop?
I'm not sure because I haven't opened it, but it's actually a touch screen and it's a desktop.
So a laptop has a battery with it and you can use it being not plugged into the wall. This is a all-in-one, so you would just have a screen and then the computer is built onto the back of the screen. So you only have one piece of equipment and then your keyboard and mouse and you're done.
It's a desktop computer that comes all in one piece, the screen and the computer on the back of it.
My observation is that if you are not using it as a portable computer, unplugged and away from your workstation, all-in-one seems to make sense. I have a laptop, and a foldable laptop, a Dell, that works fine, but I rarely use it as a portable separate from my workstation. Right. And so for me, when I upgrade, I think I'd be inclined to go to a all-in-one because I really don't use it remotely.
The difference with a laptop is that they come with a 13 to 15-inch screen in most of them. Again, you're going to get this HP all-in-one with probably a 24-inch screen. So you're getting a much larger monitor. You can always plug a separate monitor into your keyboard, but that's an additional expense.
Well, yeah, I should mention, I have a 28 or 32-inch monitor, and a separate keyboard and a separate mouse.
Right.
So I don't use the screen, keyboard, or touchpad of the laptop at all.
Okay, so if and when you time to replace it, you could just purchase a desktop computer, a smaller format desk computer. HP and Dell both make those, and they're just little boxes and about the size of a hardback book, and that's your computer, and you plug your monitor and keyboard into that.
Yeah, you keep your existing monitor, keyboard, and mouse, and just replace
right.
the computer part.
Does the all-in-one have an external monitor capability the way a laptop does?
I think they do if it has an HDMI port on there. And I think they have. I have most of the people that I have not worked with anybody where we added a second monitor to an all-in-one. They were happy with just the one monitor.
I think Willie's wife could, and through Willie, give us a review in a future meeting as to how her experience is with the new computer.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that's the decision we have to make in the next few days, is whether she wants to take it back or not. So
I think
she bought it spur of the moment because it was there. We just bought a Dell mini computer, 6 months ago. So we have the computer, but she said, I want to put this up in an office room. It's just another device, another thing. But I said, well, what do you need up there? She doesn't need storage. She doesn't need anything. She needs internet access and word processing capability. So
I think you get 90 days to take it back to Costco.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll let you know if she keeps it.
Might want to verify that return policy, because I thought I had 90 days on certain things and it ended up 30 days on this particular thing. So that was with Macy's though, so I don't know what's different.
Yeah, that's different. Costco's usually much better on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's why we go to Costco most stuff.
Costco is usually much better on a lot of things.
Yes.
Pat,
I'm going to go get some hearing aids there in the next week.
Okay. So on another question, actually, this is a question related to what you were just discussing, but this isn't my original question. The desktops, do they come various sizes? I'm going to be getting another Apple in another month or so. But when I designed this particular, office space, it was like back when we had Ataris and stuff. So I don't have that kind of room. I have a 21-inch here now. But you can get different sizes, right? I mean, you don't have to go with the humongous things, right?
You can go to Apple's website and they list every size they sell, and you can see them there.
Okay.
You're talking two different things. One is the desktop computer and one is the monitor. The desktop computer that I think we spoke of that I think would work well for you is called a Mac Mini. And that Mac Mini is about the size of a hardback book. And they're in the range of $500. You can buy those from Apple. You can buy those from Amazon. You can buy them from Costco. Then you need to plug in a keyboard and mouse and a monitor into that. That is separate. It's not included with the Mac Mini. But so your iMac has a 21-inch screen in it. You can't move that easily to the new computer. You would need to purchase a monitor. Costco, again, is where I would recommend that you look at, and you can go with I don't know if we can get a 20 or 21-inch anymore. 24 inches, the next size that's popular, for $75 to $80. A 24-inch screen, or excuse me, a 27-inch screen is just over $100, like $125.
That would,
if you had to,
I'd have to go to the smaller one, the 21. So okay, so that's the way. If I can't get a smaller size, go to the Mac Mini. Oh, okay, that sounds good.
Can't go to a smaller size what?
Monitor or desktop. I got a 21-inch and I've got maybe an inch on each side, so that's all I can do.
Well, I would think that what you need to do is look at the external dimensions when you're doing that 27, 24, 21 inch, because I think that your Mac Mini has a fair space of aluminum outside the monitor. So again, if you measure across there, you may find that it's already a 24-inch diagonal, and a 24-inch screen would be the same thing. None of our eyes are getting any better. A 27 inch is the smallest that I would recommend for most people. They make smaller and they work well, but I would recommend getting a bigger one if your space allowed.
Okay, all right, I'll have to do some more measuring and check that out. But my main question was, well, first of all, I should add that I had any number of situations going on here, and I had to upgrade, do my settings, and I had system settings that I had to upgrade. So I did that, but it took a couple hours. So they ended up putting in a new the iOS system, and so that seems to have worked. I kept everything. I was really concerned that I might lose my third-party programs, but everything's here. But the question is, and I'm not sure where this came in, I had to use Chrome, and so to do a few other things. And then it came out, and then I got this notice that says Google LLC is running in the background, and it said to check settings. But I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing there. It sounds like something is going on in the background, but I haven't found anything in the settings. So does Ross, do you know how to handle that?
Yeah, you have to go to the settings in Chrome and go down to advanced. And I think it's system then. Let me open it up on mine.
So settings in Chrome, not on my Apple?
It's a setting in Chrome because that's what's running in the background.
Oh, okay.
And it's by design, Chrome turns on the operation so it actually keeps the web pages running, even when you close the browser. Why do they do that? So when you click on the Chrome button, they go click and they're right up. There's not any delay. But I don't like that because it uses a fair amount of memory up depending on what pages you had open. So again, if I go to Chrome and I go to the three dots on the upper right-hand side and click on settings.
Okay.
Click on no, and go down to system. Okay, so if you go down to system under settings, the first option says continue running apps when Google Chrome is closed.
Okay.
And I turn that off.
All right. I'll have to, my computer's still slow, so I'll do that after the class. And then because I got another notification from this is the first time I've ever had this issue with Chrome. I got another thing where they said there's a Chrome helper, and I guess that's in the settings too. I take it. I have to get rid of that.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, it says Google Chrome helper, and then in parentheses, alerts. Notifications may include alerts and icon badges and all this and that.
Yeah. And Pat, just also there in that same settings thing, there's one that's called performance. And the first one on that, there's a memory saver, which will basically, if you have an inactive tab, it will then, free up some memory. Again, it's a trade-off between speed and how much resources the program uses. But you can have it not run stuff in the background. You can also have it free up memory when you're not looking at the tabs. And if you're having a resource problem, have it use less resources. It won't be as fast and responsive, but it will not use as much resources.
I was confused as to why you needed to run Chrome and you weren't running Safari. And I think the reason might be that your vintage computer can't be upgraded anymore, so that your applications along with the operating system are out of date now. You can't upgrade to the latest version of Safari. That's why you may have needed to go to Chrome.
Okay, that's entirely possible.
So on your new computer, you may not need to use Chrome. You may be able to use Safari.
Safari, yep.
Well, usually I have had problems, and even when the computer was younger, I've had to use Chrome to get to where I needed to go on various websites. So
we remember the earlier in today's thing, people saying that sometimes people didn't make websites that ran on all the browsers. Thank you, Saul.
Right, exactly. Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to Willie.
How about Will?
Go for it, Will.
Okay. I needed more light on my keyboard. I have a desktop system, and I found on Amazon a 12-inch LED, which was like only $6. So I was going to show it to you here if I can get it unhooked. I don't think you can see it now.
You might have to turn off your Zoom background.
Yeah, anyway, it's you might take a look if you're looking for some sort of additional light. This is really good. It runs off from USB 5-volt connector and works great. So if you're looking for any additional little desk lamp, go to Amazon and look at their LED 12-inch LED system. That's all. Willie?
Yeah, just to update on the permit finder website that I was just talking about. I went back to Chrome, in that case, David, and it still wouldn't open up. And then I went to an incognito mode in Chrome, and it opened up just fine. So I have an ad blocker on my Chrome. So maybe somehow the city's website is looking at my ad blocker saying it didn't give me an error or anything. It just says a blank screen. So there's another alternative for people to realize. You can go to incognito mode and it bypasses all the caches and cookies and things like that.
But that's also, they look for those things on some websites and you can't run them in incognito mode because they feel that's part of their making money is by selling that. And, you know, what did we pay to use that person's website? We didn't pay anything. So they need to come up with a way to generate revenue.
And by the way, the all-in-one desktop thing that I was talking about has an HDMI output, fortunately. And what I did, and this is really a techie kind of thing, but she brought home the box and I took a picture of the box with my camera. And then I used Google Lens to get the text off the box, and I input the text into my spreadsheet. So that's where I have the specs for it in my spreadsheet rather than having to look up the part, which you can do as well. But it took me 30 seconds to get it from the box she brought home to my computer. So it's another fun little tech thing.
Is that it, Willie?
Stanley.
Thank you, Hank. Last week you asked for, you pleaded, you begged for some ideas for the Saturday meeting. And I discovered, or anyway, was looking at Lumosity, and I had been reluctant to offer a presentation on Lumosity because of the private information I consider that's in there. But I discovered a method of displaying the features that I like about it and why I recommend it to we who are getting elderly, so to speak. If you're interested in that, I'd offer that to Hank as a program upcoming.
What was the name of that again, Stan?
Lumosity, Lumosity.
And what does that program do?
It's a mental exercise, but the main mental games, vocabulary, peripheral vision, all sorts of aspects of mental acuity. But the advantage of it is it records your ranking over time. And so you can easily see how your capabilities are ascending or descending, as the case may be. And I've been doing it for, since 2015. And it does cost. My son has been paying for it. But I follow it, and it shows that it took about 4 or 5 months to reach a plateau of capabilities. And then from then on, it's been holding pretty level. And I find that encouraging.
Are you volunteering to give a presentation on lumosity?
Yes.
Okay.
That'll be a live presentation, sharing screen and interactive.
Okay, let me get back to my calendar a minute and look. Oops. Okay, I think December 2nd is the first available. So I'll put you down for that, Stan.
His Zoom is muted. He may be taking a phone call. I don't know.
Stanley, you're muted. I'm
okay.
There we go.
The space bar doesn't work if you're looking at another screen. Lesson learned. All right, that's good. If it isn't, I'll get back to you and we'll schedule something else. But okay. I think December 2nd would be fine.
Great.
Pat?
Lumosity 12.2, huh?
Yep.
12.2 Stan.
All right.
All right. Pat, you're back up.
Yep. Okay. So I went into Chrome. Went into Google and went into Chrome and the settings and all that. I'm not seeing where they say, well, when I look under performance, it just says memory saver. Everything is off. So I'm not sure where the run in the background part is. I looked under performance and I looked under memory. Everything is off. So does that mean it's all taken care of then?
I think it was under system.
Yeah, you have to go down to system at the bottom.
Okay. Well, the only thing it says here is use hardware acceleration when available.
It's not under performance.
Yeah, I know. I'm under system now. The system says
okay, so then you need to go down to the very bottom, and you may not be seeing those items that are at the very bottom. You may have to scroll down.
Oh, there's no scroll bar here. That's all it is. It's in a little box.
Use your arrow key then.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait a minute. Open. Okay, try that one, I guess. Still a little slow.
Apple likes to hide the scroll bar.
Yeah, I know. I found that out. So I use my little roller thing here. Yeah, well, it's a little slow, so probably just continue on and maybe another couple minutes it'll come back up.
So you're asking questions about how to configure your old computer, but is your new computer imminent? Are you going to do that relatively soon?
Probably another month or so. They said to wait a month, and then there's supposed to be sales and better things in another month or so. So everything is going to
and another month after that, there'll be better sales then too.
Okay.
You just have to decide when it's time for me to go ahead and do it. The price at $500 for a Mac Mini has been pretty standard for quite a while. I don't think that they're going to give you much. a point on the Mac Mini. If you go into the Apple Store, they have a tendency to want to ignore you if you're interested in the Mac Mini, because there's no commission available or very low commission available for a Mac Mini. So the guys want to go spend time with people who want to buy the more expensive systems.
Okay.
I think if this is going to go on much more, that we ought to ask Ross and Pat to stay on in a one-on-one Zoom session and let the rest of us go back to Q&A.
Okay, if that's okay
for
with
the
Ross.
general world.
Well,
So
okay.
A quick thought before we let people go. I'm very impressed with the quality of discussion at this meeting compared to other Zoom meetings I get into. I think this is very beneficial, our talking back and forth on problem solving and the Q&A. Thank you, Hank, for doing this.
You're welcome. So I was going to get back to Q&A, but I don't see any more Qs.
Well, I don't have a Q, but I have a comment.
Mr. Wakely.
Having to do with Stan's luminosity, I went on and found one of these IQ testers, and I figured, well, why not try it? Then I discovered at the end that I had to pay $20 to find out how stupid I was. So I decided not to do that. Are there any other kind of freebie IQ programs out there that anybody knows about?
The one that Stanley uses, he pays for.
Well, this one I was
right.
Too, so.
And I have a history on it, so that's why I stick with it. And I told you up front, somebody's paying for it. I don't even know what it costs.
Right, Sharon has her hand up.
Well,
yeah,
we'll
I have a question for Hank.
Yes.
I got an email asking me to join, but I just recently had joined.
So that means that I have not kept my email list up to date. Just ignore the one that I asked you to join.
Okay.
You should be moved from the, I have two lists. One is about 45, and that's members of the seniors computer group, and the other is about 60 something, and that's everybody else who has ever wanted to join, or anyone else who has ever wanted to attend.
So is there somewhere there is a list of those who are members that you can compare it to?
I have that. I have that list, and I'll send it to Hank.
Great, thanks.
I go through my two lists periodically when Will sends me a new one, but it's a chore because I have to put them in all in one spreadsheet and then sort by email address, etc. Willie, let's go back to you.
Sure. Just in response to, I guess, Will's question about other sources. I currently take a class at community college. It's free, and it's called Brain Fitness. And if you take the class in Brain Fitness, you get a free license to Posit Science, which is a brain training online program, which is very similar to Luminosity. But it's all free as long as you're a student. Just FYI, I've been doing it for like 6 years.
It's called Brain Fitness.
Well, Brain Fitness is the class. I can get you any information you need about joining the community college classes, but you do have to be a class member to get the free license to Brain HQ. Brain HQ is from Posit Science is the name of the group. They've been doing this for probably 25, 30 years. It started out as Fast Forward for younger kids, but then they've turned it into more of an adult cognitive exercise. As they say, you go to the gym to exercise your body, you go to Brain HQ to exercise your brain. And it's very similar. It's very similar to Luminosity, but it is free. It does cost money if you subscribe to it outside of the school system, but the school system pays for it. And like I said, as long as you're a student there, and that's not a big deal. You show up to classes once a week. It's an hour class. You listen to discussions about brains. I mean, it's all technical about brain fitness and brain activity and nutrition and health. And like I said, I've been doing it. You're once you sign up for the class, you're automatically enrolled the next semester, so it's continuous, which is nice.
And signing up at the class doesn't cost anything, does it?
Say it again.
It doesn't cost anything to be in the community college system?
Correct. Costs nothing. But I'm saying that the exercises are challenging. It's not easy. It's challenging because it's supposed to make you think harder and work harder. So it's speed. It's got, well, you can go to brainhq.com and read all about it. You don't have to buy anything. You can read it. Just brainhq.com.
It's Brain HD?
HQ, like in
HQ.
Is that
like
you're shaking your head?
headquarters?
Headquarters.
Okay. Well, since we got a lot of smart guys on here, I have a question about the brain. How is it that we remember the immediate past thing that we've done, like the last word I just said? I can't believe that that gets stored somehow as a chemical storage in your brain. Anybody have any ideas on? I kind of understand long term and maybe intermediate short term, but the super short term, like within the last couple of milliseconds, how do you remember that? Any ideas?
I think you're in the wrong meeting, Will, for that question.
No, I'm here with a bunch of very smart people, and that's why I'm asking it here.
Not a computer question, though. But if it's using in the brain, isn't it? If it's all chemical, isn't it?
It's all neurons connecting together.
Electrical.
And it's going to be a pattern in that's in the neurons, an electrical pattern, and that's some of that stuff is going to be fairly transient, and that's really short-term memory. In computer terms, we've got registers and caches and secondary caches, RAM, and then hard disk, and there's things that have different lifetimes in your brain as well.
I think the answer to Will's question is the human brain is one of the most amazing things in the entire world. And unless you have studied it extensively, getting an answer to your question in a group like this is unlikely.
Well, it's just that we got so many smart people here, that's all.
Will, I read an article recently, and the only connection to this group here is that it had to do with artificial intelligence, but there was a person who's considered the father of AI going back many decades, and even he acknowledges they don't know how that works, let alone the human brain. So I think there are smarter minds than ours that still don't know.
Well, my observation is, trust me, there will be no discussion about the topic you brought up in my exercise with Lumosity. It is simply games that you play and results that are charted. There is no indication of how the brain works.
We're
add
down
something.
to 15 participants, so I think it's probably time for me to work out and does Pat and Ross want to stay on? In which case I will designate Ross the new host, and I will leave.
Okay, sounds good. But just for Will's sake, there's something called the Institute for Brain Potential, which is a continuing education system for pharmacists. And they have a lot of things like that you can take, class